Are we all ready? Let's get the party started. Everybody's chatty today. Oh, I love it. I heard the room is a little bit chilly, so we just bumped it up just a smidge. I know you'll all bring the heat, so I'm not too worried. Okay, back of the room says 301. My phone says 302, so we should definitely get rolling. Sound good. All right, I do not see slides up there. Let me just see one thing. All right, so that means I'm going to do a little bit of looking here, but that's okay. All right, so welcome to everybody. As we know, this is our wonderful campus gathering that we get to come together. I almost don't even know how to introduce myself anymore. Am I Kirsten Cohn? Am I Kirsten Howard? I will tell you I am legally still Kirsten Cohn, so if you're trying to email me, as I heard, please don't try to make up a new email yet. I don't have one, so it is still K Cohn, and you can do that. We're going to go through some great agenda items. I saw my agenda on my TV screen and then it just went away, Jacob, just FYI. There, oh, it's back on. Oh, this is fun. I like it. All right. So we got some good things going on. We're going to kind of go through a variety of topics with you today. So we always start with our favorite, which is our wonderful, it's time for us to embarrass you. So if you are a new resident with us and you're willing to do so, if you will raise your hand, we'd love for you to stand up and just be recognized by your new neighbors. And everybody likes to look around. Great. And Angela is Vanna. Wonderful. If you'll just introduce yourselves and just say who you are and where you're moving from and where you are now.
Larry Griswold, Creekside 26. My wife Barbara would be with me today, but we have a little emergency at our Asheville house.
Oh, no.
Which is scheduled to sell next Tuesday.
So she's handling
dealing with
that.
We've been in Asheville for 16 years. We've been here for 2 weeks.
Wonderful. Welcome. Glad to have you. Yes.
Lana Malore, 226 Lovely Lane. We've been here less than a month, and we moved from North Asheville.
I love it. The big move from North Asheville. It's fantastic.
My name is Bob.
And you're Bob. Yes, and you go there too. Welcome. So glad to have you. So as you know, some of the months we have not had our new resident orientation. We will be having that this month. So that is next June. That is next on the 24th at 2 o'clock. And if you are not new, but you still would like to come, you're always welcome to come and hear a little bit more as well. So, all right. Keep, like we said, Matt will get those. It comes in campus mail or also email. You'll get your invitations for coming to that new resident orientation. Okay, I have this section today as part of our history is, to me, we like to honor those that have passed away with us. Both Brenda and Kelly are not with us today, so I'm going to be leading us in this section. I'm going to put our list up. We've lost a bunch of folks. So I just wrote a few words. As we gather today as a campus community, I would like us to take time to pause and to remember and to honor those who have been part of our shared life, those who are no longer physically with us. Today, we really give thanks for their lives, we acknowledge their passing, and we carry their legacy forward together. So let us enter this time with silence and deep gratitude as I read their names and honor each of them. Ollie Irwin, Nancy Weaver, Linda Taylor, David Farnsworth, Ted Hill, and Kathy Hawkins. Our elders are the keepers of our experience. They have loved, lost, built, adapted, endured, and celebrated. They have shaped families, communities, and this very campus. They have taught us, sometimes in words and often simply through the way they lived, how to face change, how to hold on to what matters, and how to let go. Even as time or illness may have changed them, the essence of who they are, their dignity, their humanity, and their belonging never left them. And even now, though they are no longer physically present, their influence remains. Today, we give thanks for their lives. We acknowledge their passing, and may we continue to build a community that reflects the richness of those who came before us. And may we honor them not only in this moment, but in the way we live alongside one another each and every day. Thank you. So you all are a bunch of nosy Nellies, and you always like to be in my personal life. But on the loving way, I thought you all know I had some great celebrations, and you've asked for some pictures, so I'm going to share some pictures with you that I got married on May 14th, and then I became a grandmother on May 15th. So lots of big things. So Marcus, my husband, and I hiked up to Hawksbill, and this is in the Linville Gorge, and I have to give thanks to Scott Farkas, who recommended this location. So thank you, Scott, for knowing its beauty. And we hiked all the way up to the top. There's some other pictures of my dress and me in some hiking boots. Because I had to get up there a long way. And we had a beautiful ceremony with both Zachary and Xavier present, exchanging some vows, and being led in just a beautiful ceremony where we culminated for us in our faith of kind of braiding together the strands of kind of love and faith and God together and being stronger as a family. So it was quite beautiful and magical, and now I've been married over a whole month, so it's fantastic. And so there was just absolutely beautiful, appreciating the absolute gorgeous beauty of where we live, which I know so many of us is why we have chosen this area. And then look at that little bundle. So that's little Sadie Mae. And so my stepdaughter, Cecilia May, and her fiance, Quinn, just had their first child on May 15th. And so she is perfect and lovely. And who has a baby that smiles in a baby picture? Not me. So I just thought I would share those wonderful celebrations. As we know, life is so ever changing with growth and those that leave us and those that join us. So thank you for all of your cards and your well wishes and your emails. They have just been so wonderfully received. So as we go into kind of all this changes, we too as a campus are changing, right? Oh my goodness. So let's get into some master planning updates, okay, of what we're doing. So first thing, we've actually made progress behind the scenes. For a lot of you, you're like, what y'all been doing, right? We have had countless collaborative design meetings with our architecture firm, THW. We've met with residents, we've met with staff. We actually just last week took an in-person trip to Atlanta to the architecture firm. We've gone there a couple times now. And as different members of our team, we have conducted different community visits to view operational design of both the household model in skilled care and memory care, beautiful kitchen designs, and kind of what we would like to do or not like to do. So it's just been very active behind the scenes. I want to kind of bring us to, we have three parts to our project, right? We have our independent living part of this project. We have a parking component, and we have a health services component. Each phase, each part of that first phase is in a slightly different phase. So I'm going to show you where we've made the most progress, but we'll go through a little update on each. So the first is I want to orient you to the independent living building. I'm going to call it Friendship Park 2.0 for lack of a better phrase. It is orienting you, that white structure there with the dark roof, that would be the new building, the new independent living building. It's connected together. And the grayed out portion is Friendship Park. Closest to it is Friendship Park 180. So we'd be standing in the road looking at Friendship Park to one side, and then this new building. Couple changes since I've last talked to you. I think we had said it was maybe only 30-something units before. It, upon full layout, it's 48 beautiful apartment homes and 7 different various floor plans. So based on the feedback from you all and future residents and all the input, we were able to really get the right size, which actually ended up bringing more units, because I think the original units were a little bit bigger, right, Josue? And we kind of right-sized everything. This building, you don't see from this picture, has under building parking that will be assigned to the homes. And on the outside, there is also some street parking. And so there's actually both kind of assigned for the building itself, but then also visitors and guests. And you'll see this kind of little connection space with a meeting room in the middle. And one of the things that you're going to see is each Friendship Park building will now have a common meeting space, a gathering space for both those clusters. So this meeting room will really serve as for those who live in 180 to come into that building. It's really not that far from this building to that building. I always think that's hard to tell sometimes. It's about 60 feet from Friendship Park 180 to that meeting room, and then 60 feet from the meeting room to the new building. So that's not really a huge distance. Does everybody feel like they're oriented okay on that building? All right. No. So I'm going to try another picture, and then we'll go back to it, because I think it is hard sometimes with that. So now we're going to go really inside just for a second. So now I'm looking, if I was standing on the first floor, all the different colors are the different types of apartment homes that are available. As you can see, there's a variety of sizes. So the smallest is a beautiful 1-bedroom with a 1.5 bath, just under 1,000 square feet, all the way up to a large 2-bedroom. I'm looking at Josue, what it is, 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a den, like a really nice, lots of options with that. Every space, every home has a patio. Those patios are even a little larger than what we had or comparable to Friendship Park. And then we've heard you. There's resident storage on each floor assigned to every apartment home. There's a public bathroom on every floor. And this yellow space in the middle for this new building will be their common room gathering space where their cluster could meet. And that little shadowed space is a terrace that comes outside. And this building stacks on top of each other, so I'm not going to show you every floor. Relatively think of the same pattern from the levels up, okay, from where that goes. How many levels? Great question, and segue in. So there is 4 levels. So this is if I'm on the road, and again, I'm on Wesley Drive, standing in the road, and I'm looking at this. Friendship Park and this new building are going to be about the same height. And again, the solid gray to the image on the left is that underground, not underground, under building parking, and then the 4 levels that are there. The connector with that little yellow meeting room in the middle will connect from the first floor of the new building over to what we call the park level, right, of Friendship Park. Okay. Layla, I'm still going to get you oriented, I promise you. So, see if you can bear with me on this one. Someone said, hey, this is great, but like, where is this building? I'm still really confused. So, I'm going to try to orient you. The purple color is the new building, okay? What you see in kind of the gray and red lined spaces is the buildings that are coming down. So the top to that arrow, see, follow Villa 12 is that line. So this new building is kind of sitting on where Villa 12 is and comes into towards Friendship Park 180, kind of where the grass is between there. And this is what's a little different. It comes into the road. So the red line is the present Wesley Drive. So if I had continued it, the road would be right in the middle of the building, right? Which, that's a very creative design. We haven't done that. That would be, right? So again, we talked about in the same things haven't changed. We're going to be moving that drive, and the 3 hashtagged small square rectangles is those 3 parts of at the end of Aldersgate Circle. And so that road will now come from Aldersgate around this building. Okay. Aldersgate, I'm going to come jump up here. This is Aldersgate. Right here is where Aldersgate ends. These are the cottages, these come down, and now the road is going to come like this. Okay? This is where the villas are. The villa's here, the villa is there. So this is kind of going on that and then shift. Okay? I'm going to let you kind of pause on that a sec. Thank you. I didn't even thank you, Josh. All right.
Where's the pond?
Where's the pond? The pond is over on the other area. Yeah, maybe where the B is for building. Yeah, something like that. I'm looking at David Smith can give me some good hand signals on that. So again, just trying to focus on right now, think about if you were I always think the best way I look at that is if I'm in that villa building, this is Oxford Commons. So see where over here, Asbury here, Oxford will be coming right underneath where the Villa 12 number is. Think about kind of over there. So this is Asbury, sorry. Yep, this is Asbury. This is the chapel, right? And so this building, but Oxford's kind of like right here. So if I came, so here's how I would tell you is if I came out of my new building, I would be able to join the path and go over to the columbarium, or I could join the path and go to Oxford where I normally walk to. So think on the sidewalks right now that are near the villas and also near, right where all that is, that's still going to be the way that you would get from this building to those buildings. Yes? Yes. Linda's good. I'll repeat you. You want to repeat that, Linda?
The villas section on the far left, even though it's not impacted by the new building, it's also coming down. What will go there?
Sure. The question is again, so are we taking down all the villas despite there not being a building laying right on top of it? We are, because some of it is as we move roads, as we shift different things, as we prepare the space, we haven't decided exactly what's going in that. There will be some preserved parking areas and things like that. But yes, the answer is those villas are coming down. I have some other slides to show you too, but I'll go ahead. Angela, yeah.
Where is the new Wesley relative to the recreation area and the community garden?
Where is the new Wesley Road compared to?
The recreation area between Wesley and Far Horizons?
Between, like thinking bocce ball court and
Yes.
croquet?
Yes.
Yes. So the garden, let me get us oriented here. To your point, and David, do you want to help me here? Is that what you're talking about?
That's the garden.
Yes, this is the garden, correct? And bocce. Croquet. So yes, to accommodate pushing the road. Right now, if I was on the road driving up to Wesley, right, I have kind of just my woods over here, right? We're going to cut into some of that to make the road wider and to shift the building. That's the same as what we had said before. So yes, some of the recreation spaces will be impacted and need to be either temporarily relocated, found a new home, wherever they are. Outdoor spaces are important, and so those will definitely just need to make sure, do they still work there, or do we need to find a different place for that? And the trees, right, and again, we're having as minimal, we know that's one of our pillars, as minimal disruption as possible. I'll go,
Hold on, there's somebody else up there.
Go ahead.
first.
Oxford Commons, you have indicated, is not Oxford Commons.
That is correct. Yes, you are correct. We made a mistake. The Oxford Commons is Asbury. Thank you. Yes, Kathleen.
So if I'm understanding it right, the villa that's under the new building is 12.
That is correct.
Where I live is 14, and 15 isn't on the picture
Correct.
at all.
That is
Okay.
correct. You are correct in that orientation. Yes.
I might have a faulty memory on this, but as I recall, there was some discussion of having some assisted living in this new building. What you're showing now is just independent living, and will the assisted living being in the medical or the new medical building?
Fantastic question. So discussion about kind of levels of care. Probably 2 versions ago, or originally, you are correct, this location was designated more for assisted. It is all independent. The health services building, whatever we rename that, which we're not as far in design as we are with this, that will have memory care assisted and skilled. So I know that we are happy to have slides, right? I also have lots of detail slides. I can spend time with you. Levi can spend time with you. We can come to your cluster meeting. We can have some printed pictures for you. So I know everybody's brain visually sees different layouts different, so we can go through that. What I want the takeaway for you in this, I guess I can use this microphone now. Poor Jacob's like, what? Is that the building is where we said it was going to be from before. That's the same. The difference is has a few more units, apartment homes in it. And we have clarity on the connection. Some of the versions before had a connection to 180, others didn't. And so this now does have that. This plan of looking at the different pieces has been shared with some resident groups, has been shared with some staff. I will tell you, things we are still working on in this is trash, right? To have a trash chute or not to have a trash chute, right? And Thelma doesn't even know I spent time hanging out with your team this morning talking about pros and cons. And I said, well, maybe I'll come do some trash delivery with you. So they had some really good insight, right? Because they handle trash all the time. So we're still working on some of those details. But the idea that it's a 4-level building, that we have that general layout and the height and the orientation is pretty confirmed and set on that. Marilyn.
Does that mean that the building with the healthcare services, which is going in where the Asbury parking lot, is secondary to this building?
So kind of hold that. I would say it's all happening at the same time, but the construction of this building, and I have a slide from Bloom Construction, will probably start just a smidge before the health services building, just due to timing, but not much.
But the health services will be building at almost at
Correct,
the same time?
almost the same time. We're inconveniencing everybody. Yes. Fred, did you have?
Well, this is just a question about clarity or
Sure.
reasoning. Since you're putting the places for meeting rooms inside the new independent living building, why have you decided to put this other building, the lower right-hand purple
External.
building? Why not, since it's probably intended to serve building 180 at least, and maybe building 140. I don't know what your plans are. Why not put it much closer? Because it's awfully inconvenient as it is.
Sure. So I think one of the things that has some of those behind the scenes, Fred brought up a time, I appreciate we kind of went through, could we modify an apartment in the existing building? Could we take the plumbing and remove that? On a various amounts of reasons and costs, the decision was to not modify the existing 140 or 180. Now, whether the common space looks best directly in the middle versus skewed towards 180. We've not talked about that. That's an interesting point. Yeah. Just walking, yeah, aesthetically kind of looking at that. I think we're trying to, make accommodations on we've learned from it in the new building and then trying to make some choices on the other. But that's a great question. So some of that process, like what that Fred's talking about, that's what some of the behind the scenes has been too. Meetings, Fred and I have had some great meetings and shared about hey, where could that go? So just want to let you know that is actively going on in a lot of the different buildings. I'll take a couple more on IL and then I'm going to move to the next slide. So then I think, I'll go and that's the next building. Okay, Betty.
I wanted to make the observation that right now it's often difficult to schedule rooms for meetings. And so I assume that building would be available for meetings of other groups on campus who currently have trouble scheduling meetings.
Absolutely. So the other piece for some of that is that, of course, it does provide the closest proximity for some of the Friendship Park buildings that don't have any common space. But I don't think everybody in Friendship Park will be in the building in their meeting space all the time. So yes, that might be a small cluster group. It might be a book club. It might be a photography group that wants to hang out in the little tree house or whatever we kind of call that. So yes, programmatic space, and you'll see that theme coming through in some other areas, Betty, as well. Yeah.
Are the people who are currently living in the villas going to be moving into the new independent living building or out among the other?
Great question. So the question is, are folks from the villas moving into the new building? They are not. They are finding other homes on the campus from sequencing. We'll look at the time. We have a little bit more time to find them their next right home based on a slight shift in our construction. Layla. Matt's running. Or dancing. I love it. Dun, dun, dun.
We love Matt. Thank you. One of the concerns that have been raised way back was the loss of the relatively inexpensive homes on Aldersgate, and I'm just wondering about the pricing of the new building, whether it would be by square footage and amenity or whatever else the equation is, or whether they're going to be a little more affordable.
Great question. So the question is kind of, what is this product, speaking kind of in the sales term, where does it kind of fall in our continuum of options?
And also, and sorry, to the question of villa people moving in, it's
Sure.
like, to me, I think there would be a huge price difference, but I don't know.
You are correct. So the villas to a new building, in any kind of new building, is a really hard leap, right? I think some ways that I kind of take you on the journey is, we shared this with the residents that gave some feedback to this building, is you may be living in Friendship Park presently, but this building now has parking assigned. That is different, right? This building is going to be, and I'm going to look at Josue, probably a price point between our Friendship Park and our Creekside. Is that right? Kind of where, give or take, Layla, in terms of a range of that, because of just the square footage allocation and some of the other things like parking and square footage. Josue, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, and pricing is that area we're still navigating
Correct.
as we're working on the final design of the building. Earlier, Kirsten had mentioned about how the original plans had a lot larger in floor plans. So we really looked at creating more variety on different floor plans to look at different price points as well.
And that was from direct feedback too. Folks were like, some folks want a large 2-bedroom, but others folks actually don't. And so now the fact that I think there's 7 different floor plan choices in this option, always optimizing natural light, always trying to have some of that half bathroom. That was some other feedback from many of you, and things like that.
So, and are the folks who are moving out of the villas being cared for?
Sure. The question is, are the folks in, I hope they would say yes. And I would love to be, spoken to if they don't feel so. We still have a couple more folks that are still finding their right next home. And again, we're not rushing that. We're hearing what's important to them in their home and trying to support them and through that whole transition, because we know that that's a hard transition.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So that's kind of what's going on with independent living. So lots of good resident meetings, staff meetings, lots of understanding, getting some solidification on that. We're going to go to the health services building that we talked about a little bit. I don't have, I call it the purple Y for those of you that looked before. I don't have an image just like this pretty one that we had for independent living because it's a little farther behind because it's a little more complex. What I wanted to share with you is here's what we do know. What we know now is how it's going to connect to the different pieces. Think about this building sitting in the lower Asbury parking lot, for the lack of better terms. If you know that parking lot, it's like this, right? And so one side connects here, one side connects there. What we know now is if I live in Friendship Park 140, I will also have a way to connect to this building, and I will enter at what we call the street level, kind of almost where if you were to pull up to the difference between Upper Asbury and Lower Asbury, that kind of roadway is there. And if we walked through the building to the other side, how is it going to connect to Asbury? It's going to connect on the 3rd floor. So right where the assisted living is presently, right? So not at Pottery. There was some discussion, was it going to connect on the 2nd floor? It is not. It's going to connect on that 3rd floor because, again, 3rd and 4th floor is going to be converted, if anybody remembers in phase 2, that will, in Asbury, will become independent apartments, right? So if I live on the 3rd floor in Asbury in the future, I'm in my independent living apartment, I can walk out and park my car in the Asbury parking lot, or I could walk through this building. Okay, so that we know based on, I can't tell you how many meetings and figuring out the land and a lot of great feedback from different folks. Here's the other thing we know about this building. This building is going to have 5 levels. Again, it's a little hard to understand, even for me. David was making fun of me. He was not. He was tolerating all my questions about where is the garden and where is what level. But what we do know is the memory care neighborhood is going to be on what we call the garden level. So if I live in the memory care neighborhood, I can go right out into a garden and be in a secured place where I'm not contained and I'm safe. Okay? On that neighborhood level, there'll be another part of that garden level that will have some common spaces, kind of like what Betty was just talking about, some spaces that everybody can use for different things, kind of still to be determined. Coming up to our street level is we're going to relocate the new Mayheck kind of primary care clinic. We'll be over there, new treatment rooms, new exam rooms, better space for that, along with some other common spaces and things that are on that. That's how you'll kind of your main entrance into this building. And then there will be some assisted living apartment homes on that level as well. Coming up a level, all of the 3rd floor will be skilled nursing. It will have a neighborhood that is for more short-term rehab, but all of it is going to be licensed for the ability to care for whomever we have and long-term as well. 4th floor and 5th floor will be assisted living homes. And then on the 5th floor right now, I'm going to say we have a designated placeholder for a dining venue. That's as decided as we have been what that looks like. That has outdoor terrace, rooftop seating, and entertaining and enjoyable space. David May really wants that rooftop bar. I tell you, we're working. And then what we're kind of calling our sanctuary or interfaith space or mixed common space. But the present plan now would be, instead of keeping the chapel relocated kind of wedged in the campus, pulling it up to the top of this, one for both beautiful light and also the ability to have celebrations of life and dining all in the same space when you celebrate people and their family. So that, I wish I could tell you how much work it took just to get what was on each level. What we're really getting ready to do here is start talking about now some of the details in each of those spaces. What could be in those common spaces? How does that work? What is the right mix of, and again, a wonderful variety in assisted living. We also know all of these homes have private bathrooms. All of these assisted living layouts have just beautiful light and windows and all of that. And so that's kind of all coming next. This will be where we'll get ready to start pulling back. We had those resident groups in kind of health services and memory care. Those of you that were involved with me in that, we're going to start calling you back to start talking about those specifically. Okay. And then here is the other last piece. We are continuing to search for the best parking solution. What you all have told me is, does it have to be this? Is there any other choice? Is it have to be this? And we've really heard you. I don't know. I think we've had it full big piece, David Smith, like 9 choices. And we've had different pictures. And we said, we're going to do an under building. And then we're going to say, we're going to do a below building. And then they come back with these crazy numbers like 16 million. And we go, what? Right? So I just wanted to share with you the rationale that we're using for parking, and we have not solidified this. We're probably down to, I'm going to say maybe the last 2 to 3 options, and a really huge kudos to Safety and Security Task Force who's been working with us to look at this. Is the first choice was that Asbury parking deck. That's what we told you we were doing the first time we rolled this out. So that's kind of been there, it's a good amount of money, and I'm going to tell you it's a good amount of money, right? We also want to make sure we're getting as many spaces that we need for that. So that's still the best choice. We've looked at some underground parking that has just been really cost prohibited sometimes, digging into the dirt, and it doesn't give us as many spaces. We're looking at, could we ever just do a surface parking area? Right, not a deck, but is there some place to clear some space and land and just do more like a parking lot, not a parking deck? So those are all of the choices we're trying to see what's the best choice. And I'm just being transparent. We haven't chosen the right one. We've probably eliminated some more than we've gotten to. This is the exact one with that. Every single one has pros and cons. I have some residents that have just said to me from Safety and Security, we said we were building a parking deck, just build it, right? Then we have other folks that are like, please look at everything else. I think what we do know for sure is that parking, and this is definite, parking will both require a physical change and an operational change. Right? So that when we're thinking about who parks where or how we do that, we're not just going to build something and all the problems go away. So that has become quite clear in our kind of pieces with that. And after I kind of walk you through this construction timeline, I'm going to have Chad come up and join me and tell you what some of those operational parking changes are that we can do now while we're still figuring out what's there. I see you, David. I'll make sure someone gets gets back to you while I ask this, and I can go back to that. So what you have is a construction timeline. We kind of looked at this before. I know this is a little bit small, but independent living, health services building, and a parking deck or parking option. The red arrow is where are we right now? We're right at the end of the second quarter of 2026, right? Right now, this is showing that the villa demolition is kind of right at the end of the first quarter, March, April of 2027. That is a shift from when I told you before. Anybody remember what it was before? Last quarter, exactly. So we were talking about last quarter. So now we've shifted. I'll be honest, for those of you that have done construction, that's not surprising. And again, we're taking our time to make sure we have that right. And to answer the question we asked about, is independent living going to be built kind of before the health services? Maybe it might start a few months ahead, but at this relatively, it's all being done at the same time. This is where we are today, right? Every time we get an update, I want to come and share that with you so you're on the journey. I don't want to overwhelm you with information, but I don't want you to be blindsided. So right now, this kind of tells us, hey, 26, everything's kind of focusing on that still design and planning. And really when we're getting into the beginning of 27 is when dirt starts moving and things start coming down, right? From that standpoint, okay? David, you had a question.
Yes, I want to know, with all this parking that's going to be going on, lots, are they thinking about a lot of lighting? Because, once you get out to the parking lot, it can be very dark at night. And are you thinking about maybe lighting it more for security?
It's like we planted you, David. Nice job. We didn't.
So,
Chad, you want to answer it?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So anytime that we are looking at changes for the structures, we are also taking a look at the safety and security measures on the campus as well. So lighting is a very big piece of that. With the Safety and Security Task Force, I want to single out John back there. That has been very instrumental in making sure that we are doing some CPTED, with crime prevention through environmental design, but it also takes a safety piece of that too, so folks feel comfortable walking through these structures or parking lots and things like that. So yeah, it is very high on our priority list.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna, any final questions before Chad and I go in to tell you what kind of operational parking things we're gonna do now? I see Matt's got double, he's running here, he's running there. I see 3, and Angela's coming too. It's all the team.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Will the assisted living apartments accommodate couples?
Great question. We do have some 2-bedroom in the design, and so we're trying to design in both all the levels, kind of the ability to have either a shared space or larger space for couples. Yes. There's even a design in the skilled where it looks like 2, I'll say, semi-private rooms that you might think coming together, but actually each person has their own bathroom with like a shared living room. So it could be separate or it could be a larger couple space. So we're trying to be creative with that. Yeah. And then I'll come after. Yep.
Is the parking that's being designed between Friendship Park and Creekside, is it still going to allow communication between the two, both for walkers as well as cars? Because that's our path between the east side and the west side of the campus.
Say that one more. I'm trying to orient myself to.
All right, the parking, where are you going to put the new parking?
Correct, in Asbury, okay. Oh, that we can now walk kind of from that side through kind of pathways to get over to Creekside?
Yes, right now we use that little.
I love all those little things. We're not disturbing that.
Thank you.
Yep. Yes.
Thank you, Kirsten. Did I understand correctly when you were describing a couple slides back that the chapel and the things that happen in the chapel are going to be moved to a new space on top of the roof?
That is the present thinking, that will now have an opportunity for us not to honor just our Christian history, but also bring in more of some interfaith celebrations in a new space that's a good large space to still accommodate hearing and all the visual things that we need to have. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Great question. The question is, what happens to the chapel? To be determined. Lots of really interesting ideas about that. We're really just have been playing and having fun brainstorming. So that would be a whole session. We would talk to residents. What do you think we need? So I'll encourage you, if you have things about that, do you feel like that should be more of a learning center, an educational space, a community connection space, a fun intergenerational playground space, a brain health longevity space? Could be all sorts of things. It's a very large space, so it also might need to be divided, but thinking about where it nests in our campus, it's a really wonderful place to gather folks from all over the campus together. Fred?
About the lighting, a number of us in 140 are a little, and perhaps in Creekside as well, are concerned about the lighting and how it's done. I understand the need for security of the user of the parking lot, but I'm hoping some maybe special light fixtures will be used, or some way of dealing with the overflow of lighting that will make nighttime seem like daytime for the surrounding buildings.
I think that's a great comment. I think we were in one of the meetings where that was actually thought about, like if I parked here and I was in Creekside across here, what would the headlights be coming in at, vice versa, where if I'm over at Friendship Park. So yes, the architects are absolutely thinking about that. And then can the lighting go down, not up, or what are our architectural
the light
choices?
standards are probably tougher to deal with.
Yes, so absolutely top of mind. Yes. Yeah.
As we grow in population here, are we going to be enlarging this room for gatherings of the whole campus, or what?
So the question is, as we grow with our campus kind of gathering rooms, I think you're going to see continued in all the phases a importance to have common spaces that accommodate for different areas. So yes, that is considered. I will say even in this space, like Layla indicated, hey, if we're coming here for this celebration in this new building, Chad brought up in a meeting yesterday, so let's think about where those people park. So we are always considering what the increase in size. At this phase, there's not a net change. It is a shifting of who's where. It's really the future phases where our campus in terms of real volume grows a little bit. But yes, things that are always being considered. Yes, and I'm mindful of time too. Go ahead.
Okay. I want to be sure that there's a plan for the beautiful stained glass windows in the chapel.
Absolutely. So again, as we evaluate and make sure that those changes make sense, we want to make sure that stained glass and part of our history, how that can be repurposed, come with us, how that comes out, along with the beautiful wood furniture. There's a lot of his history that I think is important to be part of us. And I think we can have a win-win. I think we can still take some things from past and move also to the future. I'll take Layla, and then we're going to move to parking.
Coming this way, sorry.
Sorry, forgive me. I was chatting with Chad the other day about the fact that the dumpster behind maintenance and the dumpster behind the health center attract bears.
Yes.
And bears that get used to food and humans become dangerous because they don't mean to, but they do. And I'm just wondering if has there been any thought into managing dumpster. I mean, I think the dumpsters are too big to have a metal container, so they're trying to figure out how to keep. But I think it's a disaster waiting to happen, and so I just wondered if there's any thought given to that.
So I will tell you, I'm only smiling, and I'm channeling Thelma right now. We have spent at those community visits. Thelma has been in everybody's trash space, right? Thelma is like, how does it work? How does it connect? We've talked with Chad about that. So I think I will tell you, if you want a fun, complex topic, it is trash for both safety of wildlife, smell, odor, ease of labor. So I don't have a solution yet, but yes, we're really thinking about, do we use different compactors to make it? Do we have different areas that are less in that area? But way we do trash now will change based on some of the location of the new buildings.
I
So,
believe it's complex, and my hat's off to you guys. That's why you're getting the big
if
bucks.
trash speaks to you, just come talk to us,
Well, I
because we
just-
would
I-
love
I
to
just-
talk to you.
It sounds like one of the factors is trying to make it less accessible to wildlife.
Yeah, I think less accessible to wildlife, easier on our staff's back, right? And easier for access, right? Is the door too heavy? Is this too heavy? And what may sound like a good idea of making sure that it still is with that. Just for sake of time, I'm going to move on because I really want to honor time, and we will run a little long, but I want to get through some of our topics. We're not going anywhere, and we can all sit and talk about master plan, and I can do additional sessions if we need to on that. So I'm going to have Chad, I'm gonna stay here. We'll kind of tag team, and Chad's gonna run us through what the Safety and Security Task Force is ready to be rolling out with some new changes coming soon to a theater near you.
Yes, thank you, Kirsten. And I want to also acknowledge the Safety and Security Task Force. You guys have been instrumental in helping us get this off the ground and out there and helping us get it up and running. So huge thank you to each and every one of you that has taken part in that. Talk about the community impact. When we're talking about an operational change, I can't eat this thing. It's not, it doesn't taste very well. So talk about community impact when we're talking operational change, but also a mental change in parking on campus, how we navigate, how we move around campus, where we go, but also adding some benefits to all of this. We look at the community impact. You have already seen that we've moved the planters outside of the porte-cochere at Oxford Commons. That is going to be a very new loading area, kind of an extension of the fire lane, but also allowing the Amazon trucks and the FedEx trucks and things like that to have some additional space in front of Oxford while not blocking the porte-cochere. We did take a little heat from the fire marshal on that at a time. So we're going to push those delivery trucks a little further up the road there towards Creekside.
I'll kind of toggle back and forth for you.
Yeah, you'll notice in the red boxes at the bottom of the screen there where those planters were, that's going to be the new loading area. And the green spaces around the upper Oxford lot there, those are going to be extended to our parking areas so that we can, one, allow more folks to come to the dining venues and other events inside the Oxford Commons there. Those are no longer going to be long-term parking for residents. Those are going to be multi-use 2-hour parking. And we're going to push the semicircle there in the middle cars to the rest of the upper Oxford lot there. The lower Oxford lot that you see in the yellow box, that is going to be team member only parking. We are also renaming that from lower Oxford, lower upper Oxford, and lower Oxford. That is going to be lower Oxford 1 and lower Oxford 2. Lower Oxford 1 is going to be closer to the parking garage at Oxford. And that is going to be resident-only parking, where the yellow box is going to be team member-only parking. That also means that we have to make some other spaces on campus for team member parking. So up around the Creekside surface lot areas, we are designating some team member-only parking in those surface lot areas. So essentially, the 9 or 10 parking spaces that are in front of each Creekside building that are very seldomly used, we're going to push some team members into those parking locations on those surface lots while not touching any of the underground parking at Creekside. And that still remains all resident parking. And for visitors, and also they will be able to use those surface lots at Creekside. Around the Asbury parking areas, you see the lower horseshoe parking lot there. We're going to be adding another green area for 2-hour parking, and then a loading area for FedEx trucks and other contractors on campus to be able to unload supplies while they move their vehicles to the upper Asbury lot. The yellow box in the upper Asbury lot now expands a little bit further towards 140, and the electric vehicle charging station up there, that becomes team member only parking.
So this is team member, and this is still from overflow for 140. So it's kind of a shared part of the upper part. So does that mean only staff can use the charging? No, residents can. No, on that one, we're saying this is staff, this is resident and visitor. So, right, there are, and these are this is the EV spaces right here. Right now, I'll be honest, we don't have an EV parking problem. We have plenty of, every day there is plenty of spaces for EV parking, whether that's staff or residents to use that. So, that's, I think.
I think that takes care of the pictures.
Yeah. While we get our clicker going, we'll ask some questions.
I have a question about the parking for all of the marketing events. When there's a marketing event, there are a lot of people coming here to park. Where are they going to be parking in this scheme?
So it's a great question. We're still exploring some different options of exactly where, right? So really the response will be, do team members get relocated during an event to free up, say, that yellow parking space and our marketing guests park there? Or do we utilize, say, our partnership with New Hope Church and then provide a shuttle? So some way the inconvenience will be probably, I'll just share, the burden of that will come to the staff. And so that we're trying to minimize the disruption to our existing residents, while also making it a welcoming place for our new residents to know that this is their new home. Yeah.
For those of us that have moved to Oxford Commons recently and cannot get a place to park under Oxford Commons, you've now made it so there's very few spots that we can park for overnight.
So one of the things, we are going back into all of reviewing all of the assigned spaces, underground parking, and make sure everybody that actually has a space actually has a vehicle. I think I have shared that I know some of you have given spaces to other people and different things like that. So we're trying to true that up. And I think that's the feedback that we're in right now, is trying to figure out based on, and I can show you that Levi walked the campus of every single space, and there's a lot of analysis. They were trying to make some judgment. So I think that's one for us to take some data, right? None of this is permanent. Right? This is what we think will work. And if all of a sudden I hear our Oxford folks say, hey, there's not room in that upper part of Upper Oxford, or we need more of the, what's the new name? Oxford.
Lower Oxford 1.
Lower Oxford 1, then we might need to shift that picture. So I think that's very valid for us to keep an eye on.
I used to live in Lovely Lane and came down to eat, so I know what that's like, but this would be horrendous, I think, if we didn't have a place to park when we live here.
Okay, so I'd love to keep it. Please give. So, like I said, Chad is wanting feedback, right? Hey, every day I came, I couldn't find a space. We need to know those things as we can adjust and do those. So, thank you for sharing that concern.
Yep, absolutely.
That was my question, because I live in Oxford and frequently cannot find a parking place.
Okay. And I think that's where we're evaluating too some of those broader parking options, right? This is kind of what we're doing now. We know that kind of around Oxford is a critical kind of space, and trying to figure some of those pieces out with that. Yes. Go ahead, Fred.
One of the buildings that you didn't mention in this, or actually two of them, were the two Friendship Park buildings. As you know, 140 is working on some plans we're going to submit to you, but it's horrible now, and you're crowding us a little bit more, taking up some spaces. I can tell you we appreciate your moving the UPS trucks, but there are so many vendors and so many aid vehicles.
yeah,
that
caregivers.
I hope you will add that to your considerations. I'm disappointed that you didn't say anything about that.
Yeah, so we are taking a look at that, and especially if we're looking at in-home caregivers, they will have to be utilizing team member parking in other areas as well. So that is going to alleviate some of the parking around Friendship Park. So again, I am eliciting feedback. I am wanting to have your feedback on all of this. So if you could take a look, and if you see something that's broke, please let me know. If you see something that's great, please let me know.
And I would say this is only the beginning of certain changes, right? You know, some of the time when I look at, and I'll be honest, kind of studying change management, making the change as small as possible, little bit at a time, right? So obviously this is not all of the parking issues. This is kind of the first wave, like we kind of, I mean, think back, the first wave was getting everybody a decal. Second wave now is kind of shifting staff, unburdening the staff from these areas and seeing, does that give more breadth for the residents, right? In Asbury specifically, the fact that staff are now only going to park in that yellow box. Right now, staff park in all different parts of Asbury. So from a Friendship Park overflow, maybe that's where the vendors will go. Maybe that's where, right? So we're kind of looking at some of those pieces. And that's why we're going to come back in August and we're going to say, guess what? This was miserable, didn't work. Or this worked, but this didn't, right? And things like that. So July 1st, we're going to try to, from the staff standpoint, we're going to start getting everybody with that. Obviously, it might take a little bit of transition, but we wanted to share with you here anything really concerning you, causing huge heartburn, get it to Chad as soon as possible. We'll start making some changes. You'll start seeing some signage, and then we'll gather some data for about a month and a half, and then we'll come back to folks. I saw, yes.
Yeah. So I have an electric vehicle, and I noticed in the parking lot, the stations in Oxford parking lot, there's 4 of them, and a lot of times they're not being utilized very much. On the other hand, there have been a couple of times when I've gone there and I couldn't park there to charge my car because there were cars parked there that weren't charging. There was not enough parking, so they parked there. So that's just something that needs to be looked at, I think.
I agree. I think, right, we right now have 3 locations kind of in the general parking areas that we have chargers, right? We have one in the lower part that we've been talking about in Oxford. We have one in Upper Oxford, and then we have it in Asbury. So I'm with you. I think it's a little bit of a mix. Sometimes I feel like they just are sitting as unused spaces, and then as soon as we say that, right, it's when we have a bunch of folks coming in to charge. So let's keep an eye on that one. I don't have an answer for that, but I'd love to see some data on how that flows. Yes.
My experience with EV charging is that if it's painted on the ground in front of the spot, it's a little clearer for people.
Do you want to talk about
So I don't really see great signage. I mean, it seems like if it were green and it said EV charging, then for people who need it,
might be drawn
might
to
be
it.
more, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great segue, and a great point. So we are able to paint those areas and identify that without adding some other signage. We are going to be painting the team member areas, and also we're going to be painting those yellow and repainting the resident spaces white. So we will, again, this is more feedback that I would like to have as far as utilization of those parking spaces. And if we need to identify them in a different manner, we can definitely do that.
So I know that this, like we know this is a hard topic. I think this is never just a full win. We're trying to, right, mitigate, reduce, change, shift, all sorts of things. We felt like some action is better than no action, right? And like we said, we know that there will be the ability to blend both operational challenges besides having to figure out just purely more spaces. So I think there's a lot for us to learn here in the next couple of months. You'll start seeing folks in different areas. You should hopefully still, we want to know, do you have spaces for your visitors and your guests, right? We don't want anybody to ever feel put out, right? So that would be, what did we miss? Things like that. So again, you'll have these slides we'll get on the app, so you'll be able to see that. Chad, while you're up here, I'm going to let you do this next part too.
Thank you so much. I do need to give a brief emergency response update, and I'm going to click through the slide here. I know that this is hard to see, but you will be getting the slides in the packet here. This is a new rework of our emergency response workflow. It is an operational pass, so it's a little bit of an operational change for us. But it starts with your emergency pull cords and your pendants that you have in your residence and you wear about your person.
Could you go up on the stage and point at the clock so that we see the flow?
I wish I had a laser pointer. So I will get to play Vanna here. When we talk about emergency pull cord pendant activation, so that's the first thing that comes through. You activate the device. Our safety and security team is notified through those Quantum messages. We use a system called Quantum that allows us to have instant notification on the campus anytime that those pull cords or pendants are activated, along with your smoke heads, smoke detectors on campus. So along with those notifications is a phone number that is associated with that address. And we will call the resident first just to verify that it is not a false alarm. We are typically around a 48 to 49% false alarm rate. So that's the reason why we call first before we show up. Was the phone call received? Sometimes that's a yes, sometimes that's a definite no. If we do get a response on the telephone, we will walk you through that pendant or pull cord response. If we don't get a response, we will come knock at your door. Okay, and we have keys to all the facilities. So if we don't get a response, we will enter into your home. Okay, if it is a phone call received, we're going to ask you, is there an emergency? And sometimes it's, like I said, a false alarm, which we will walk you through directions on how to reset that, or reconnect you with additional resources as needed, whether that's a different department or a different resource. We'll walk you through just in case that's not an emergency, but you did utilize your pull cord or pendant in that fashion. If it is a medical emergency, through our emergency medical responder training, we're going to do an assessment. That includes blood pressure checks, that includes oximeter readings. We're going to triage that scene to make sure you're all right. And connect you with additional resources. If it is a true emergency, we are going to connect you with local EMS responders and probably get you transported to the hospital of your choosing based on that emergency. If it is not a medical emergency, let's say you have a suspicious person or a suspicious noise or something like that, we are also going to respond in person so that we can help triage that scene to make sure that your home is safe, you are safe, and those that are around you are safe. Okay, and then we will always ask that if it is a real, true to life emergency that is time sensitive, we want you to call 911 along with pulling your pull cord or pushing your pendant. That just speeds up that process of getting EMS 911 resources on campus and on site. I know that we had a few times in the very recent past that our wait times exceeded over 20 minutes. So that was also the push for us receiving that emergency medical responder training so that we could intervene very quickly, okay? And again, I will elicit feedback, responses. If you have any questions, please send them my way.
So I'll just, Cindy's got a quick question. We'll get Matt over to that. I just want to say a huge thank you to Chad and the team for all the training they've done with this, right? In the past, we've not had this on our campus. So to me, that extra level of support, responsiveness, guidance, and I'd ask for you to really just take this to heart, right? I think the biggest change for you, and I'm just going to say that, right, is we get a lot of times like, oh, you're going to go call the nurse, right? Did you hear that here? No, right? What you heard was we have trained team members that are coming to the scene to get you to whatever is the right pathway. In the past, we've not had that training and that expertise here. And so we had to pull a nurse out of a licensed area to come respond. We are so delighted to now be able to care for our folks in assisted living and in healthcare, as well as care for everybody in independent. And so in this partnership, it's kind of working through this. So I know naturally some folks might be like, oh, well, you're going to go call my nurse. If you hear Chad's team say, no, I'm responding to you, that's why. He's not being rude. He's just trying to triage the situation and get you whatever is needed. The response might be like, please follow up with your nurse navigator tomorrow, right? Please call your primary care doctor to get that checked out. Or, hey, we've got paramedics on the way based on what's going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yes.
You just answered the question. I was concerned about the assisted living nurses.
See, Cindy, I felt it. I just was like, so yeah, so right, because that is a concern for our folks that are in assisted living and feeling like, hey, are you pulling the nurse who's here to care for me in a care planned situation? And so again, we think this is very lucky. Of all the places I've gone to on some of those operational campus visits, none of them had a team like ours that was trained to respond. So I really think this is an additional response that we're just really lucky to have. Yes, Alan.
Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the features of our pendant system is that if a pendant is activated here on campus, you are given information as to the location of that activation. And if I'm correct in that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say that your chart is not reflecting the possibility that you will think it's activated from somewhere else other than the person's home. And if you do think that, you certainly don't want to go through this process.
Yes, certainly. So part of that quantum alert messaging, it does give us the nearest location of where that pendant is activated. There are devices called repeaters in the ceiling that will geolocate you inside the buildings or in the parking lots that will identify where you're at, and it gives us that last location. So if you live in 140 but you're visiting Market and Craft and that pendant goes off, it will identify you as being in Market and Craft.
Mm-hmm. Maybe indicate, Alan saying maybe we could indicate that just if someone was reading that yep. we're going to find you based on some of that geolocation.
Great feedback. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chad. Anything else?
Yes, there is one more slide.
Yes.
I want to, my cluster folks out of.
Yeah.
Could you just clarify when we should call 911 after we contact you? That was from the last slide.
So in a true to life medical emergency, so if you're having chest pains, if you're having, severe shortness of breath, things like that, we want you to go ahead and call that 911 along with pulling your pull cord or pendant.
If you think, gosh, should I call 911? If you're thinking that, please call 911.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? So, yeah, tell us about, this is really exciting. This is a resident, wonderful, driven solution.
A resident driven device that we are so happy to be announcing that we are purchasing in process right now of purchasing. It's called an evac chair, and it is for stairwells or elevators that are not connected to the generator. So if we lose power or we have a situation on campus where the elevators aren't working and we need to evacuate someone from a higher level floor, then these chairs are battery operated electric devices that will allow us to get you down a stairwell in a motorized fashion. Similar to what you would see in a furniture dolly, the way that the track system works, but it is for people. It is a sit-down chair. It does include a 4-point harness, so you are locked into the device. And it is fashioned in a way so if you needed to lay down in a more of a prone position, then we could modify that chair to lay you down and move you down, up or down a stairwell.
This was really great, especially as a solution to me in Creekside and some of the other options. And so a cluster had recommended this. presented to Chad and myself, and we are just thrilled to pilot this, to build the training with it. So bear with us, right? Because Chad team needs to be, they need to become competent in this and how to use it, right? But this to me is a great, I think, again, partnership together of working with folks on that.
Absolutely.
So.
Plus, I get a new toy to play with.
There you go. Yeah.
So where are they going to be located on campus? Right now, we're purchasing 2. So we're going to put one in Creekside 24, and then the other is yet to be determined. So we will, again, elicit feedback on where that chair should live.
The thought was to try it in one building, get some of our systems and processes in place, learn from it, and then if we go, this works, then it could be something that is either in a vehicle, right? We had talked about with the cluster, does it stay with the safety and security team and when they come on site, or is it something that lives in each, say, of the Creekside buildings or other places? So that is still kind of to be determined on that.
No one would want to mistakenly cry wolf, so to speak, but accidents happen. What council feedback do you have for us not to have that happen? Like,
so
does the dog trigger the whacker, or
No. So anytime that there is a power outage on campus and the elevators are not working, this is what this chair is designed for. So.
And right now, this would be something that Chad's team would respond to support the building. So this is not something at this exact time that anybody's just going to jump in and grab and use this. No. We use this when we had some challenging stairwells in Pace and going into people's homes with our trained staff.
I meant the emergency call system gets
okay.
accidentally
Pushed.
triggered.
Oh,
or is
false
there a
alarm.
Top 3 things that we stupidly do to make that happen?
So that is
That's a great question. Anybody know? Cats do like to pull the cord.
Cats and dogs, that is correct.
Walkers.
And also wearing the pendant inappropriately, that whether it is in a pocket or it's in a purse or it's in some other area other than around your neck, or the wristband. Leaning up on a counter, we get that quite a bit. Wearing them in bed, we get that quite a bit. So it really is a whole gamut of scenarios.
Right. Great questions. So I'm just going to do a quick process check here. It is 4:16. I would like to offer that we're going to modify the agenda. First of all, I think Chad has done a great job sharing a lot of great things that we have. And as much as we would love to hear Matthew talk about sewer health and our community, you have to wait till next month. So come on back next month to hear about sewer health, right? And I do believe, Mr. David May, do you have anything you want to, or are we going to just say, come eat food, it's great always? Is that maybe... Come eat and drink and be merry. But we are going to have Christopher come up and just kind of close us out with just a couple of updates. So I'm going to get to that. Before we do that, just closing out master planning, I'd be remiss if I didn't say everything that we talked about is what our fingers crossed plan is, right? I almost feel like we always need the disclaimer, right? There's always something that happens and the construction cost of something is 7 times more than we thought it was, and now we have to have different conversations. Or the city says, nope, we're not going to do that. So I just feel like I should put a little asterisk on all of that. But I wanted you, this is our emerging thinking. This is what we're trying to make work. And if there are adjustments that need to be made, again, that's going to be all of us together saying, what are the pros and cons, and how do we make those adjustments together? Fair on that? So, all right. Christopher, bring us home. Life enrichment. Floor is yours.
Okay, hello. We're going to finish us off with some high points. First of all, I'm Christopher Snyder. I am your Life Enrichment Director. Wanted to let you know that we have a new addition to our fleet, which is this new 14-passenger Mercedes Sprinter van. This does not replace a vehicle. This is just an addition. So I did bring the sign-up sheets. We are doing 20-minute joyrides tomorrow. If you want to sign up to take it out for a spin, you won't be driving, but you can definitely get a taste for it and see how it feels, see what you think of the ride. So it did take its maiden voyage yesterday, I heard. Anybody take it? Yeah. Okay. So So it is going to be used pretty much for independent living transportation. It does not have wheelchair access, so it'll be primarily used for independent living residents. And that, Yes, it does have shock absorbers. It also has a cargo compartment in the back, so we are talking about whether or not we'll be able to start to talk about overnight trips, where maybe we'll do an overnight trip and you can put your suitcases in the back and do something like that. So more to come. But if you want to take it out for 20 minutes, sign-up sheets are in the back. Wanted to let you know about our July 4th celebration. That is obviously July 4th from 5 to 7 o'clock in the Williams Center. We are having, you probably saw this in the Gazette, we have the community art projects that we asked residents to participate in. Those will be on display in the Williams Center. Tuxedo Junction will be playing. They're good hits. They've performed here many times. Everybody likes them. And then Market and Craft will be open for pizza and wings in the evening. That's the only thing on the menu, though. So David wanted to be sure that you knew that. Want to tell you about some new classes that we've got. So I think we have touted Mike Youngblood as our new art instructor on campus. So he is not simply our chauffeur, but we are tapping into Mike's real artistic talents. He is in process of teaching fundamentals of creative drawing right now. Up next after that, we'll be exploring watercolor and then foundations and acrylic paint. Mike has a display of his artwork and in the Asbury Gallery right now. So if you get a minute, walk past the art room. You will see Mike's artwork up on display. You'll see what a talented artist he is, and I encourage you that if any of those topics are something that interests you, sign up for one of Mike's classes. He's a great instructor. The other thing is cardio drumming. That will be coming back on the 22nd with Diana Pavlik. So I know there were some folks waiting for cardio drumming to be back. So that will be back for anybody that wants to participate in that. The other thing I want to tell you about is online registrations. So those will be starting July 15th for August programming. So we are going to start in July 15th for anything in August. I know we had talked about a little bit of an earlier timeline, but we had some team member transitions in the reception desk. We had an unexpected departure of a new hire, and so we had to kind of push things out just a little bit. So June and July programs will still all be paper signups, the current method that we are doing. There are 3 ways to register for events and programs once we start online signups, and that is you'll sign up online through the resident app. You can sign up in person at the Oxford Commons reception desk, or you can call the Oxford Commons reception desk during the hours when they are open, and that's 8 to 8 Monday through Friday and 8:30 to 7 Saturdays and Sundays. We have online registration information sessions. Those are going to be Friday, June 19th at 10 a.m. in the Rising Classroom, and Friday, July 3rd, 2 p.m. in the Rising Classroom. So if you think you have questions or you think you're interested in taking advantage of online sign-up, I would encourage you to try one of those methods. I also would like to just give a personal shout out to Richard Provine, who did such a good job in helping us select our Sprinter van. He really worked hard and it really paid off. So I can't wait to have y'all try that out. And so we'll be getting a new bus next. That's the next thing on our docket. So I appreciate your time. That's all I've got.
All right. So I would be remiss, but Father's Day, no reservations. Please remember that. That's important. Again, please be checking everything. What's open? Tarina's closed. Again, 4th of July, Tarina's closed. Social Brew has specific hours, breakfast, morning hours, but the rest of the day closed. So just make sure you're really checking all of that information as we go into those pieces. And again, some upcoming fun things. Thanks for coming to the beer dinner and Oktoberfest in July. I love our group, right? Like that we just do lots of fun things. So just know that there is some limited signups coming up, but some really fun things of some, again, experiential food things with David and team for that. Some good old Wine Down Wednesdays. We're going to Turkish wines and more donuts with David. So we are through our slides. Fred, last comment, question?
One of the things on the last slide, the dining committee has been working on a way to have better
comments, feedback.
And I wanted to add it. It's important to us. It's important to the quality of dining. Please, we would really appreciate positive, constructive
all of
criticism.
It. Great.
But
bring it.
That seemed to me to be the most important thing David would have talked about.
Fantastic. So thank you. With that, I'll stay around. I know this was a lot. My apologies for those watching and that we went over, but I hope we have some good information. So thanks, guys. We'll see you in July.